Hello, this is Lukey from the Millennial Heretic. Thanks for tuning in today. Tonight I'd like to talk a little bit about what we hear in the media regarding the black community and racism and how they can't get ahead because white man's holding them down. Here's another one of those things that I'm just so tired of. We're seeing, especially in 2015, we saw all kinds of stuff. We saw more stories of young black men getting gunned down by police and protests by Black Lives Matter and all this stuff. It's almost bigger than it's ever been before. So what's going on? Well, here's what's going on. Okay, black people in our community are pointing fingers at others for their problems rather than looking inward and finding out what they're doing wrong and what they're not doing that can either help or hurt their community from growing. So what do we know about the black community? We know that they're not doing well in school. We know that the fatherlessness rate has raised from about 25% in the 1960s up to about 75% today. This is the percentage of black people who did not have black fathers in the household. We know that there's an income disparity. Blacks do not earn nearly as much as other groups like Asians or whites. Asians being the top earners in our world, and some Jews. We know that blacks on average have a lower IQ, typically in the mid-80s. So why is this? Well, if you ask most black people, or the black community in general, they'll tell you it's oppression. They'll tell you it's 400 years of oppression and slavery by the white man. But what they're not considering, or they don't want to admit, is that it's their own damn fault. See, just like deciding whether or not to clean my house doesn't cost me anything, well, deciding to grow as a person and work harder doesn't cost anything either. Deciding to learn how to become a better parent doesn't cost anything either. Raising your standards for the people you procreate or mate or breed or sleep with or bang or screw or fuck doesn't cost anything either. See, these are decisions that are free. However, so many people in the black community are making very poor decisions, which makes the whole situation harder for themselves, their kids, and as a whole, their community. Growing up, I was always ostracized and labeled and called names for doing things that were considered white things. When I was a 13, 14-year-old kid, I liked to snowboard. I liked to skateboard. I liked heavy metal music. I spoke decent English. What did my black counterparts say in school? You're trying to be white. Why do you do those things? That's what white people do. Well, if this is the mindset you have, no wonder you're not making it in a majority white society. If I moved to freaking India, should I expect the Indians to bend over backwards for me and my culture and the way that I see the world? Hell no. Would the Indians expect me to learn the Indian culture and the Indian customs and the Indian way of doing things and the Indian way of seeing the world? The Indian way of business? Indian way of love and societal human being interaction? Of course. Is there anything wrong with that? Not that I can think of right now. So this is where we are. Blacks don't want to do things that are different than the way that they're doing, but yet they still demand different results than what they're getting right now. Well, here's my message to the black community. If you want to improve what's going on in your life, in your kids' life, and in your community's life, start looking beyond what you're doing and look at what's working for other communities. And maybe you can adopt some of those things to bring yourself up. Number one, we got to raise our kids better. That's enough with these single mom households. It's not okay. It's not an okay thing to do. I know it seems that way. It's becoming the norm, unfortunately. But all kids need a father and mother in the household, not just one. And if you have one, that parent needs to be a good parent and not beat the shit out of their kids. And give them the opportunities and the experiences that they need to become productive members of society. Why is it that one race or ethnicity of students can go to a public school, and then blacks or Latinos can go to the same public school, and they have such disparities in what they're able to accomplish? Well, then they point fingers at the school. Oh, the schools aren't getting enough money, blah, blah, blah. But that doesn't answer the question. What we need to stop doing is looking at the schools and start looking at the families and seeing how these families are being run and what effect it has on children and their ability to function in society and become independent, productive, healthy, virtuous members of society. We've got to stop pointing fingers at other people for our own problems and look inward and decide what we need to change to bring ourselves up. And stop begging for handouts. Handouts only make the recipients dependent on those handouts, and they stop doing the things necessary to become independent. Stop fooling yourself. And if you're on the giving end of this message, stop finding it okay for others to point fingers at you in order to get your shit and take your hard-earned money to sustain their own lives. Thanks for listening to this message. Please like and subscribe if you like this channel and you like what you're hearing. And if you want to share it to as many people as you can, I would much appreciate it. Thank you, and we'll see you next time on The Millennial Heretic.